Nobody was ready for this. Jimmy Kimmel thought it was a joke. Jennifer Lopez didn't. One question, one pause, and suddenly the entire studio went silent. No laughter, no music, just tension. Jennifer leaned forward, looked straight at Jimmy, and in that moment, the interview stopped being funny. It became unforgettable. Because live on television, Jennifer Lopez didn't play along. She took control. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Now let's dive into what really happened. Nobody saw this coming. Not the audience, not the producers, and definitely not Jimmy Kimmel himself. What was supposed to be a fun, lighthearted late-night interview quickly turned into one of the most tense and unforgettable moments in recent television history. Jennifer Lopez, a global superstar, award-winning actress, chart-topping singer, and undeniable cultural icon, walked onto the stage expected to do what she's done 1,000 times before. Smile, laugh, promote her latest project, play along. That's how these interviews usually go. But this time, something felt different from the very beginning. The audience applauded loudly as Jennifer took her seat. Cameras flashed. The band played. Jimmy Kimmel welcomed her with his signature humor, ready to keep things playful and entertaining. On the surface, everything looked normal, but if you were watching closely, you could feel it. The smiles didn't quite reach Jennifer's eyes. Her posture was calm, confident, but guarded. She wasn't nervous. She wasn't uncomfortable. She was alert. Jimmy began with his usual jokes, tossing out light remarks meant to get easy laughs. The audience responded, but the energy felt uneven. Jennifer smiled politely, nodded, and answered, but she wasn't giving him more than necessary. That's when viewers started to notice. This wasn't the relaxed, laughing Jennifer Lopez fans were used to seeing. This was someone who came prepared, not entertained, but to control the narrative. And then it happened. Jimmy leaned into a question that, at first, sounded harmless. The kind of question late-night hosts ask all the time. The kind celebrities are expected to laugh off. But Jennifer didn't laugh. She paused. That pause was heavy. The studio went quiet. Even Jimmy seemed unsure for a split second. In that moment, everything shifted. Jennifer Lopez looked straight at Jimmy, calm, composed, but unmistakably serious. Her expression said it all. This wasn't playful banter anymore. This wasn't a joke to her. She wasn't there to be teased. She wasn't there to be reduced to a punchline. And she certainly wasn't there to let anyone cross a line. The audience sensed it immediately. Nervous laughter rippled through the room, the kind people make when they don't know what's coming next. The producers likely held their breath. Live television has no rewind button. Jennifer spoke, not loudly, not angrily, but with precision. Every word landed exactly where it needed to. The tone was firm, respectful, but unmistakably final. Jimmy tried to smile, tried to soften the moment, but the balance of power had already changed. Jennifer wasn't reacting anymore. She was leading. Her calm confidence made the moment even more powerful. No yelling, no drama, just presence, just authority, just a clear message that she wasn't going to play along if the joke came at her expense. And in that instant, everyone watching understood something important. This interview was no longer following the script. What was meant to be a routine late-night appearance had turned into something real, something raw, something completely unscripted. Because when Jimmy pushed one question too far, everything changed. Jimmy Kimmel has built his career on pushing boundaries. He's known for asking the questions others avoid, for mixing humor with discomfort, and for putting guests in situations that create viral moments. Most celebrities expect it. Many even prepare for it. And when it works, everyone laughs. But this time it didn't. The interview began exactly as planned. Jimmy asked Jennifer Lopez about her long career, her recent projects, and how she continues to stay relevant in an industry that constantly moves on to the next big thing. Jennifer answered smoothly, confidently, and with grace. This was familiar territory for her. She had done interviews like this hundreds of times. The audience was relaxed. Jimmy was smiling. Everything felt safe. Then Jimmy shifted gears. He brought up a personal topic, one that went beyond professional curiosity and edged into something more loaded. At first, it sounded like casual teasing, the kind of comment late-night hosts often make to provoke a laugh. But the tone was different. It wasn't playful. It wasn't light. And it didn't feel respectful. Jennifer felt it instantly. She didn't interrupt. She didn't react emotionally. She simply stopped and paused. That pause spoke louder than any response could have. The room grew noticeably quieter. The laughter faded. Cameras lingered just a little longer on Jennifer's face, capturing the moment she decided how to respond. And in that silence, everyone watching understood something important. She wasn't going to let this slide. Jennifer leaned forward slightly, maintaining eye contact with Jimmy. Her voice stayed calm, steady and controlled, but her message was unmistakable. She made it clear that the question crossed a line, that it reduced years of discipline, sacrifice, and achievement into something trivial. She wasn't angry. She was direct. She explained how questions like that are often disguised as humor, yet carry a deeper message, one that undermines success, especially when it comes to women who have spent decades proving themselves. She spoke about how hard she's worked, how long she stayed at the top, and how dismissive comments ignore that reality. The audience went silent. No applause, no laughter, just attention. Jimmy attempted to step in with a joke, hoping to reset the mood, but Jennifer wasn't finished. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't accuse. She simply continued, calmly explaining why respect matters, especially on platforms watched by millions. This wasn't a rant. It was a statement. And the difference was clear. Jimmy's expression changed. The confidence he had earlier softened. He nodded slightly, listening now instead of leading. In that moment, he understood what had happened. He had crossed a line. The power dynamic shifted instantly. Jennifer was no longer reacting to his questions. She was defining the conversation. Every word she spoke carried weight, not because it was loud or dramatic, but because it was honest. This wasn't anger. This was control. And as the cameras rolled and the studio remained silent, Jimmy Kimmel realized something very important. This wasn't just another interview. This was a moment. What made this moment unforgettable wasn't shouting, insults, or chaos. It was control. Jennifer Lopez didn't raise her voice. She didn't roll her eyes. She didn't attack Jimmy Kimmel or turn the interview into a public argument. Instead, she did something far more powerful. She took ownership of the moment. As the studio remained quiet, Jennifer continued speaking with calm confidence. Her tone stayed steady, but her words carried weight. She explained how moments like this aren't just uncomfortable. They're familiar. How women in the entertainment industry are often questioned in ways men never are. She talked about double standards. How male artists are praised for longevity, while women are asked why they're still here. How men are called legends, while women are expected to constantly prove they deserve their success all over again. And as she spoke, the audience leaned in. Jennifer wasn't just responding to one question. She was addressing something much bigger. She explained how success is often doubted, how achievements are minimized, and how years of dedication are reduced to jokes or side comments. She admitted she's tired, not exhausted, but done pretending it doesn't matter. That honesty hit hard. The room erupted into applause. It wasn't forced. It wasn't polite. It was real. The audience wasn't clapping because of drama. They were clapping because they recognized the truth in what she was saying. For many watching, it felt like Jennifer was speaking for more than just herself. Jimmy attempted to step in with humor again, trying to bring the show back to its usual rhythm. But something had changed. The light jokes no longer landed the same way. The balance of power had shifted, and everyone could see it. Jennifer was no longer just a guest answering questions. She was leading the conversation. She smiled, but this smile was different. It wasn't playful or polite. It was assertive, confident, the kind of smile that comes from knowing exactly who you are and what you've earned. Without raising her voice, Jennifer reminded everyone watching that her place in the industry wasn't given to her. It was built, project by project, performance by performance, year after year. And she wasn't about to let anyone undermine that. Not on a late-night stage. Not with a joke. Not even live on television. As the interview continued, it became clear that Jennifer had reset the tone. Jimmy adjusted his questions. His approach softened. He listened more carefully. The moment had redefined the entire interview. And outside the studio, something even bigger was happening. Social media exploded. Clips of Jennifer's response spread across platforms within minutes. Fans praised her composure, calling it one of the most confident celebrity moments of the year. Comments flooded in, applauding her for standing her ground without turning the situation ugly. People weren't celebrating confrontation. They were celebrating confidence, clarity, and self-respect. Because Jennifer Lopez didn't just respond to a question. She turned the moment into a statement. A reminder that power doesn't always come from being the loudest voice in the room. Sometimes it comes from knowing when to speak and how to speak. Jimmy Kimmel is no stranger to uncomfortable moments. After years in late-night television, he's interviewed politicians, celebrities, and public figures under pressure. He's faced walkouts, awkward silences, and unexpected reactions before. Normally, he knows exactly how to steer the conversation back to safety. But this moment was different. You could see it on his face. Once Jennifer Lopez made her point, Jimmy shifted immediately. His body language changed. His smile softened. The playful confidence he started the interview with was gone. He knew he had misstepped. And now, he was carefully trying to regain control without making things worse. For the rest of the interview, Jimmy tread lightly. His jokes became safer. His questions more respectful. The teasing tone disappeared almost completely. He spoke slower. He listened more. And instead of pushing boundaries, he stayed well within them. The shift was subtle, but impossible to miss. The audience noticed it too. Laughter slowly returned to the studio. But it wasn't the same kind of laughter from earlier. It felt cautious, polite rather than carefree. People were still enjoying the show, but everyone understood that the dynamic had changed. Jennifer Lopez had drawn a clear line, and Jimmy wasn't going to cross it again. What made the moment even more powerful was that Jennifer didn't need to repeat herself. She didn't remind him. She didn't escalate. Her early response had already done its job. The message was clear, and it had landed. From that point on, Jennifer appeared more relaxed, not because the tension disappeared, but because she had reclaimed control. She answered questions on her own terms. She smiled when she wanted to, and she stayed composed the entire time. Instead of damaging her image, the moment strengthened it. Viewers didn't see a celebrity losing control. They saw a woman setting boundaries, calmly, confidently, and without apology. That distinction mattered. Fans immediately praised her composure, calling her response classy, powerful, and long overdue. Many pointed out how rare it is to see a celebrity handle a tense live moment without turning it into a spectacle. Critics, too, acknowledged her approach. Even those who weren't longtime Jennifer Lopez supporters admitted she handled the situation perfectly. There was no shouting, no sarcasm, no public humiliation, just clarity and self-respect. And that's why the moment resonated. Jimmy Kimmel eventually found his rhythm again, but he never fully returned to the carefree tone he started with. The interview moved forward, but under a new understanding, one shaped by respect rather than jokes. That shift said everything. This wasn't a meltdown. This wasn't a confrontation spiraling out of control. This wasn't drama for the sake of drama. It was a masterclass in self-respect. Jennifer Lopez showed that you don't need to be loud to be heard. You don't need to insult someone to make a point. And you don't need to walk off a stage to assert your dignity. Sometimes, all it takes is calm confidence and the courage to speak when it matters most. This moment was never just about Jennifer Lopez and Jimmy Kimmel. It was about power, respect, and boundaries, and who gets to define them on the biggest stages in entertainment. For years, celebrities have been expected to laugh through uncomfortable questions, smile through dismissive jokes, and move on as if nothing happened. That expectation is even heavier for women, who are often told to be good sports no matter how personal or unfair the moment becomes. Jennifer Lopez challenged that unspoken rule. She reminded everyone watching that respect is not a favor, it's a requirement. What made her response so powerful wasn't what she said alone, but how she said it. She didn't storm off the stage. She didn't insult the host. She didn't raise her voice or create chaos with cameras. She stayed. She spoke. And she made her point clearly, live on television. That choice mattered. By remaining calm and composed, Jennifer showed that setting boundaries doesn't require drama. You don't need to embarrass someone to demand respect. You don't need to turn a moment into a headline-grabbing spectacle to be heard. Sometimes, the strongest response is the most controlled one. This moment resonated far beyond the studio audience. Viewers saw something rare, a public figure refusing to shrink herself for the sake of entertainment, refusing to pretend that disrespect is harmless just because it's delivered with a smile. And in doing so, Jennifer gave voice to a feeling many people recognize. The feeling of being talked over, the feeling of being reduced, the feeling of being expected to accept it quietly. That's why this moment stayed with people. It wasn't an argument. It wasn't a viral meltdown. It wasn't manufactured drama. It was a reminder that even in spaces designed for jokes and laughter, boundaries still matter. That confidence doesn't have to be loud. And that dignity is something you never owe anyone an explanation for. Jennifer Lopez didn't just protect her own image that night. She set an example for younger artists, for women navigating public spaces, and for anyone who's ever been told to just laugh it off. This wasn't about winning an interview. It was about owning your worth. That's why this moment will be remembered, not as controversy, but as clarity, not as conflict, but as confidence. Because on one of the biggest late-night stages in the world, Jennifer Lopez showed something powerful. You don't have to be silent when someone crosses the line. And once again, she proved why she's not just a star. She's a force.